Welcome to Girl Talk Sunday with Erin, the podcast where I am talking to basically the ladies. We are having girl talk conversation. So today's episode is focused on marriage. So recently, I don't know what it is. I wouldn't call it confused, but a lot of the married people that I am around that I get to talk to, friends, family, not all of them, but a majority of them are unhappy in their marriage. So I was like, okay, well maybe this could be a good topic for the podcast. I'm just talking to the ladies, having girl talk concerning marriage. Seeing I'm not married, but just seeing what's going on in the marriages and how this is all working out. So I got together a couple of the ladies. Um, so I'll just add everyone in. Hi, ladies. Okay, so we'll go in order. And I'll just let you guys introduce yourselves and let us know. Oh, okay, that's all right. Introduce yourselves and let us know your marital status, relationship status. I will say that.
I'll go first. My name is Alicia, and I am married as of 2.5 years ago, and we are expecting our thank you. And we are expecting our first child as well.
My name is Erin Hayes. We have been married for 5 years together for about 8.5. Our 6-year anniversary is on New Year's Eve of this year.
That's my birthday.
It is. Oh, well,
Yes.
early birthday. And we have 3 daughters. So
I guess it's my turn. I'm Angelina. I've been in with my same partner for 27 years. We've been married for 20, and we have 3 children.
Nice. I love that. So the goal was to get together. We had a bunch of people and people had a few emergencies, but I had married, divorced, separated, and single girls. But we have the married ladies here, which is fine. Um, so the first question I have for you guys is, what are you grateful for today? We can go in whatever order you decide. So many few of us.
Okay, I'll start. I am grateful that I have a partner who understands that us having our individual time is a beautiful thing, that we are able to support and actually have arguments and then not get wicked. Okay.
That's real.
one of the things that I am grateful for is patience and understanding because, marriage is not easy. It is challenging, but to have a partner that you can grow through the hard times with together, that takes patience and understanding and the willingness to actually, compromise. So I'm thankful for patience.
Yes.
I feel like I have so much to be grateful for right now, but top of my list is that being pregnant is so difficult. And as you ladies know, and my husband has been like waiting on me hand and foot. He's so respectful and also so patient and so kind to me. Yesterday, I wanted to do a bunch of things and all I did was nap all day. And he was like, but you're growing a baby. Like you have every right to be just doing nothing. And having that level of understanding and someone who actually really supports and is in my corner during a time where, I'm not so glamorous has been really, really wonderful.
Well, you look beautiful.
Thank you.
So I didn't answer the question for me. So I'm Erin. I am divorced this year. This August made year 7 since I've been back home. Oh no, year 8 since I've been back home. 7 since I've been divorced. What am I grateful for today? I am grateful for What am I grateful for? I am grateful that I'm alive. I'm grateful that I live a beautiful life that I love and that I enjoy. I'm grateful for my beautiful friends, my beautiful family, and I'm grateful for you guys for showing up. um, what would you say has been the biggest challenge since being married? You all have been, sounds like married, correct me if I'm wrong, at least more than 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you guys say has been the biggest challenge in being married? If you can think of one.
For me, I think the biggest challenge for us since being married was moving cross country. We are originally from St. Louis, Missouri, and we left and moved to Los Angeles back in 2022 at the beginning. And so leaving family and friends and just everything that we know have put us in a very uncomfortable position. And so that was challenging because we had to grow together and lean on each other and understand that, we are the only people here to save us. No one is coming to save us but us.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
but we're still grateful for all of the family and friends that do support us as we continue this transition here in California. But this has been by far the biggest challenge yet, and I'm so fucking proud of us.
And how long have you guys been here?
Since we started it in February of 2022, so about 2.5 years.
Okay, nice. How do you feel about California? Isn't it the best place ever?
I mean, I think
despite missing your family.
I love living in California. We love the experience that we get to have. We love, the community that we're slowly building. We love, the things that our girls are being able to be exposed to and just everything, and just being able to have the support of family back home as we go through this or grow through this, like I like to say. It's just been incredibly amazing. So that makes California even more, because now everybody just comes and visits us all the time. So.
Yeah, and it's a nice place to visit.
Exactly. And we're like 10 minutes from the ocean, so that just makes it even that much better.
Right.
I can
Nice.
identify with that because I moved here from New York. And when you move to a new place, it is very challenging because you don't have the systems that you're used to.
Exactly.
So I can definitely identify with that because in our marriage, that was definitely a thing that was something we had to grow through, and literally did. And it's been awesome, but I can identify with that. But I would say for me, that was definitely a challenge. But what was the biggest challenge for me was being a stay-at-home mom. It was something that I wanted to do, but I did not realize what I was getting myself into. There are no breaks for a stay-at-home mom. You are constantly going. And we as women, for some reason, I don't know about you guys, but we devalue that position in our homes. We think about our giving support as us going out and having a job and bringing in income. And I will never forget somebody giving me a pep talk and saying, if you had to pay for all these things, your husband couldn't afford you. And I thought that was a great point. So, and also having to put my career on the back burner for my kids. I was definitely, on my Beyonce, oh, the single, I was like excited about having on my career and going into the field that I was going into. So, but it was very long hours that would take me away from my kids, and I couldn't see how that just didn't make sense for me at that point. And so there was definitely things that I had to work through personally so that I didn't become resentful of the decisions that I made, because this was a team effort. But I will definitely say the biggest challenge was me being a stay-at-home mom.
I'm also a transplant from the East Coast. As is my husband. My husband's from New York. I'm from Connecticut. We met out here, so we luckily were able to kind of build a community of friends that have turned into family as well. So it takes a little bit, but it's so worth it when you get there. But biggest challenge for me, I've only been married for a little over 2.5 years. So we're still very new and still definitely in the honeymoon phase. But within that first year of getting married, I lost my mom just over a month after our wedding, which was really difficult. My husband lost his stepfather a couple months later, which again just brought up everything. And his father passed away when he was 12. So this man was like a big figure in his life. And then I lost my job. I had gotten a promotion and then 6 months later lost my job due to all the layoffs and everything. So we had like a really intense year of just so much roller coaster and trying to figure out how to survive in the emotional sense more than anything else. But just trying to figure out how we can support each other while each other is going through their own thing was something really powerful, I think, in the beginning of a marriage, because it just helped set up the guidelines for the future of hopefully how we kind of battle these things moving forward. But it was definitely a big challenge to be able to communicate when I needed more support or when I was able to provide more support for him and vice versa.
So when I was married, I did move from LA to Virginia, and I would say it, although it was probably the greatest challenge, but it kept us together the amount of time that it did, because I was there with no friends or no family. Opposed to if we were here, because we argued so much. If we were here, of course, I would have been like, okay, I'm out of here. Like, I'm going home. I'm going back to my parents' house. So it kept me there longer, because it was just like, in my mind, it was just like, it's not going to be just as easy to just pack up and leave. But that too, for me, was a great challenge because I was there with no friends, no family. But like I said, it did help us in some ways within the marriage. My next question is, how do you, or how did you even, or I'll just read what I wrote. How do you, or do you balance slash maintain your individuality while also honoring your union with your husband?
Mm.
I think that that's something that's always evolving and ever changing, because even within the marriage and the individuality outside of that, then you add the layer of motherhood, and then you add the layer of, like, if you're working in corporate America, so then you add the layer of worker. So it's not even just trying to find your individuality in marriage, it's just trying to find your individuality outside of all the hats that you wear. And
Yeah.
so as you, like, I'm 42, and I, like, what I feel now is a lot different than what I felt when I was 35. And so the things that give me peace or I find joy in now for my own individuality is a lot less different. You know, we hear so much, we think so much, we see so much about, like, you know, if you're on social media and all these things that are coming at you to make you, like, not really feel gratitude for such small things like your health, or, you know, the waking up every day, or the family. Like, just the idea that I get to be surrounded by so much love, it just, like, I don't know, it's just so much peace in that. And so for my, just finding space, or just finding areas or ways to just to give, just to be in gratitude all the time. That's how I maintain my individuality. Like today, I woke up, I was like, oh, look, it's fucking sunny. It's always sunny. And I sat on my balcony and I sunbathed. And my husband was just like, okay. And he found space for me, you know, to move the kids away. And I got to start reading a book that we're going to read together. So, you know, it's just like making sure, like, you know, whatever is going to bring you peace in that moment, you take the time and you do it. That's for me, though.
I agree with you. It's keeping, because as you age, as you grow as a couple, both of you change. You both find different interests. You both learn new things about yourself. A lot of people like to celebrate, oh, I'm the same person I was when I was, no, you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be. You should not be the same person you were when you were 17 or 20 or 30, because we're growing, right? And we're evolving. So I think making sure, and it's something that is so hard, okay, to remember when you have kids, I'm a big believer in therapy, I'm all about God, but we also need therapy. He gave them that talent and we need to embrace it. And I feel that each person should have that moment to go into that space and think about where they're at in their life and what they're feeling. So for me at this stage, walking on the beach. That is the one thing I love about being here in California. I love walking on the beach. I love hiking. I love the fact that I can go out in my backyard and sit and tend to my little plants and my flowers. That's my escape. You know what I mean? I love and learning new things, like taking a new class. I think also, like, if you're in a place where you're like, I don't even know what I'm into right now, take a class. I love going out with my girls. A girls' night is a beautiful night. I mean, in a safe space, you know what I mean? And so I definitely do that on a regular basis. So that's me though. Like the hiking, the exercise, the eating right, doing my research on what I'm putting in my body, because you will not believe how much stress you can put your body through by not eating and having a healthy diet and maintaining your nutrition. So those are the things for me.
Yeah.
Y'all are speaking my language, beach, space. No, for sure. I think the biggest thing is holding like that little bit of space and time for myself every single day, even if it's just like 5 minutes to meditate or walk on the beach. I'm fortunate enough that I can do that pretty easily. It's why I moved here. But it does look different every single day. Sometimes it is a girls' night. Sometimes I want to read a book or ride my bike or start a puzzle or paint. And I'm, no expert at any of those things, but it's finding time for myself to give my brain almost like a timeout, and not feel the pressure of the job and making sure those around me are catered to. Just giving myself that time to cater to myself. Sometimes, honestly, it's a nice long shower. There's nothing wrong with that. Especially like, doing the above and beyond type shower where you're like really going in and giving yourself the time and space that you need. But it does look different every single day. And I think that that's because that's just how my brain works. And I honor that in the sense that sometimes it means that I have to just be a vegetable on the couch and just by myself. But my husband's also really good about doing that on his own. We have friends that we connect with together. We have friends that we connect with not together. And sometimes those overlap and we're okay with that. And we understand when he needs a boys' night or I need a girls' night. Just because why not? we all need that, right?
We do. So this kind of rolls into self-care. So I'm wondering if because I'm around a lot of men. I have a bunch of uncles. My dad is always around. I have cousins, so I'm always around the guys. So I asked my uncles and my dad yesterday, and I'm like, I'm hosting a podcast on marriage. What should I ask the ladies? And my uncle said, okay, we'll just go into that later. But I have a question about giving self-care. It reminded me of the question, but giving self-care not only to ourselves, but to our mates. Is that a thing in your marriage?
Yes.
Just like,
Yes.
and what does that look like? Because it sounds What does that look like exactly?
Well, for me, I'll give my husband massages sometimes, his
Mhm.
like back, feet, all of that.
Mhm.
And I love, like, I'm all about curly hair. I just feel like putting creams and oils in my hair. So he'll sit there sometimes and I massage, oils into his scalp. And I will say, okay, I tell him, I was like, I did this. Where's mine? Where's my time? But
Yeah.
so we definitely do it to one another. Obviously, I'm a nurturer. I think it's the Virgo in me. I
I'm a
enjoy,
Virgo too.
yeah, I enjoy nurturing. I enjoy loving on people. So he definitely gets loved on. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree 100%. Self-care is a big thing in my house. And mine is more so like, yes, I love on my husband. Like, he really loves like touch. He's like, that's one of his things. So, this is something that I had to learn, and it's something that I continue to work on, like how to be more affectionate towards him in that way, because I know that that's something that he desires. So sometimes it's just walking up, touching on him. We driving in a car, I'm rubbing his head, just all different types of stuff like that. And then in addition to that, I like to send him, places to do things for himself for self-care. Like his birthday was just this past Tuesday. And so I just made his whole theme of his birthday like self-care. So, I just organized things that I know that he loves to do. Like he got a massage and a facial.
Yeah.
He needed an oil change and he was going to do it himself. I was like, you know what? Let me pay for this, give you back some time to do something else with yourself. Got him passes, just he loves yoga. So I set him up with some yoga, just different things like that, just trying to be creative, because men also forget to take care of themselves sometimes when they're trying to wear multiple hats as well. So,
I
just
def-
being thoughtful.
I'm sorry, because when you said that's something I had to learn, that is
Mhm.
exactly something I had to do. I've got this book called Love Language,
Mhm.
and we took a test. I
Yeah.
am not I would rather, I like to nurture on people, but I don't need you up under me every 5 minutes.
Exactly. Oh,
But
I
I
know. Yeah.
learned that about him through that book. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And it is extremely important what you're saying. Like, I sent him to go get manicures and
Yeah.
pedicures and a facial too. I do the pedicures for me though, but
Yeah.
but it's so important. So I'm with you on that. It's awesome. Yeah.
It's so funny you brought that up, because that's exactly what I was gonna say, is that my husband recently read a book on love languages specifically for children, but like started connecting it to our lives, and we started talking about our love languages in general. And I think what's so interesting about the love languages is that we target in on like, oh, this person is more of a physical touch person versus, maybe they receive physical touch, but they like to give gifts or whatever it is. Um, but for me, I started realizing that both of us, like all of the love languages, it's
Yeah.
just about how we're approaching those love languages.
Right.
So for me, I love to give like words of affirmation. I'm like, you're so cute, you're so hot, I love you. Like, but the way he receives words of affirmation are just slightly different. Like, he doesn't want to be boosted up all the time, but he does love the like loving, I love you, kiss face emojis, heart emojis, things like that really make him happy. And physical touch, the head scratches, the head massages are such a big one. But just like, touching in general, I think he's really big on that. And the self-care aspect of it is really just learning so much about your partner and also yourself to be able to communicate what those needs are, and where you're feeling like you're getting that support, and where you're feeling like, I see that you're trying to do this, but maybe this is actually how I receive it a little bit better. And that's learning on both sides, because I think it takes us a long time to actually understand how we receive things, and how we like to receive things. And I think all of those love languages are so, so important, because we need a little bit of everything to survive almost, right? Like, we also used to do this practice of acknowledgement. So like if one of us was feeling like, we were doing a lot recently, like, I would love some acknowledgement. Oh, I really noticed that you've been doing the dishes every day and I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And like asking for that and then also like acknowledging the other person at the same time has been really helpful for us as well, because that's one way that I receive words of affirmation is just like the acknowledgement of like, hey, you're doing a good job. Like you're doing things for me and I see that and I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the things that the guys are saying, that basically that their ladies aren't, I guess, appreciative of the things that they do, or I mean, because they're so used to them doing it. But one of the things that my uncle said was, why do, and I know all of the comments were basically coming from their experience, but he said, why is it that once the woman gets in the relationship, she changes? And I was like, well, one, she has to change.
Yes.
Two, I was like, most likely she's going from being a single woman to being a wife. And then if you guys have kids, to having kids. And then, so not only is she taking on these new roles, but she still has to maintain her as a woman. She still has to go to work, most likely, 9 times out of 10. And then she's taking on doing wifely duties. She's taking on doing all this extra housework. And then on top of that, being a mom. And he didn't understand that. And his response was, well, I'm still paying the bills. I'm still, and I said, yes, but your
Oh,
life
no, no,
didn't.
no, no. Oh, I'm sorry.
But
You said,
it
go ahead.
didn't change. My thing was, it didn't change because you were paying the bills anyway. You were going to work anyway. So like this woman comes in and she takes on this role of all these extra responsibilities, and you're still doing the same thing. And I don't think he really like understood what I was saying in that, to that point. So do you have anything to add to that?
Can I go first?
Yes. Yes.
You know, because first of all, I think that it's very important for men to also know that those kind words and that care and sensitivity that you want from her, you got to give it to receive
Mm-hmm.
it. Okay. And women are very much ready to love on you if you're doing that in return. And I'm sorry, these days, women and men are getting up, going to work, and paying bills. And whether you're doing it, and I'm going to speak from this aspect of when I was a mom that was a stay-at-home mom, and my husband, was out there working, you don't get to come home and deal with me as if I'm your servant. I'm your wife. I'm your partner. You see? So yes, you may want all of that, but also have you communicated that to her? And what have you done to nurture her or allow her to want to do these things for you?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of things expected from women and men, to be fair. But as human beings, you need, when you're ready to love on somebody, it's because you feel that way, but it's because of something they did to make you want to do that, right? So I think it's very, like, I would say to your uncle, or any man, because we had to deal with that in our relationship too.
Mm-hmm.
And we went and I did couples therapy. We did couples therapy, and we graduated. So we only go once a month now. So. But one of the things that I learned there, and that my the therapist also brought to the attention, is, okay, you go out and do all of those things outside the home. What do you do inside the home as a man?
Yep.
That's a good point.
That
Yeah.
is.
And what have you done to make her? Because naturally, when we feel loved, we will go to the moon and back for a man.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So have you feel, but we also have to be responsible for filling our own tanks as well. But you're supposed to contribute to that, So I think if you're asking that question, you might want to ask that question about what you're doing to incite that energy from your wife. And it ain't just paying bills. Sorry. That's the
Exactly.
bare minimum.
I feel like people think that because they contribute. This goes back to like me thinking about where when people think of blessings or when they think of like manifestation, a lot of the times it's only like financial gain. It's not actually about like health or family or love or all those things. So you think because you're contributing everything financially, you don't have to put in or build that intimacy in that marriage. Like financial, just as like, love is not enough. You got to, be willing to do all the work. But yeah, it's just like, no, you don't get to just because you have one area, you got other, because I'll just, if that's the point, what are we together for?
Yeah, good point.
Because if you're not going to love me correctly, then that is just, but also if I'm not loving you correctly, and the only way we can get there is through communication.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think the communication piece is a big one because I think it's really hard from what I've seen, my experience, it's hard for men to be able to communicate, this is what I need, or this is what I'm feeling is lacking. And as I mentioned before, like that, like little acknowledgement exercise that I do with my husband every once in a while, it's not one-sided ever. It's always, I've acknowledged that you've done this. Can you acknowledge me as well? Because I'm feeling like the need for that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a way for me to express it. And I think he liked it because it opened up a door for him as well. But I will just say also, the woman that you start with is never going to be the woman that you end with. We are different people every single day. Like the person I was before this podcast is not going to be the person I am after because honestly, I've learned a lot from you ladies so far and like I'm going to take that with me, you know what I mean? It's such a powerful thing to be able to grow in this world and in this life. Like that's the only thing that we know for certain is something that we can actually do is grow. So when you meet someone single and they're single, you're single, and then you fall in love, of course they're going to be a different person. They're going to be more nurturing to you. They're going to want to do all of these things for you. But if you are lacking or you're stopping some of that on your end, why would they continue? Why would they feel the need to acknowledge you all the time if they're not feeling acknowledged and appreciated and all of this? So
Jalen. Oh, I'm sorry.
No worries. I think it's just so important to sit there and say, okay, if this is something that I need, maybe it's something my partner needs as well. And having that open line of communication is just so important. Like throughout all of it is communicate, communicate, communicate. And you hear it and it sounds like cliche and a broken record. But at the same time, if you're not doing that, everything starts to crumble. And love is a beautiful and powerful thing. But when you're not feeling loved, even if you are loved, it gets a lot more complicated. So
Makes it harder.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. Oh, sorry, Erin.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Because when you were talking about learning to communicate, that was definitely something that we did in therapy. It was my husband had to learn to communicate because there were things that were going on at work that he wasn't communicating to me, but he would have like an attitude, and the same thing with me. Instead of being like, because he didn't do something and rolling my eyes, and being like, this man, and thinking to myself, but I wasn't communicating in that moment what it was I was frustrated about. And I think that the communication every day, every level is so important because you literally each day we're going against different obstacles, right? So each day we need or want something, just like the lady said, each day you're changing, each day you need and desire something else, right? But if you don't communicate that clearly, and that's on both sides, the man and the woman, it will not work. You will end up building up these resentments for no reason, and it's okay to argue. Because some people say, oh, you're not supposed to, I don't argue, but it's about how you debate, right? It's not about the debate. And at the end of the day, that debate is about coming to terms
Yeah.
and coming to a meeting ground. So yeah, I'm okay with arguing. Like, just not being disrespectful. Don't get dirty, y'all.
There is nothing that frustrates me more than when my husband is in a bad mood and says it's not my fault, but
Yeah.
won't tell me what it is.
Yeah.
There's nothing that frustrates me more because I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm a fixer. I want to help you. And I know I can't fix everything, right? But at the same time, maybe I can better understand and read the situation, because otherwise I just think it's my fault. I think it's my fault. I've done something wrong. I'm circulating in my head. I have anxiety and PTSD. So I'm sitting there thinking, what did I do? I'm on eggshells, like freaking out. If he just told me, oh, I had a bad day at work today, everything would be, fine. But it's harder for some people to be able to have those conversations. And so bringing that out is, if someone's frustrated because they don't feel like acknowledged, how am I supposed to know? I'm not a mind reader.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was probably my greatest challenge, because for me, I have to process first. Like, and it may be because I was kind of more so, I mean, I was raised with both parents, but I was more so raised by my dad. I was closer to him. So I have to process things. And I noticed that men are the same way. Like, they could feel something, but before they really, I guess, get the nerve or the courage or even the words to express themselves, they need that time to process whatever it is that they are feeling. So that is me. On the flip side, the guy that I was married to, I don't even know if this is a thing, but I felt like he was just an over communicator. Like, everything was just, we had to have a conversation with it. And then because I'm trying to process and he gets frustrated in me not being able to communicate or respond or, whatever the situation was, it was just yelling. I wasn't raised in the house with like loud, like, I don't mind arguing, but it was just loud and just overwhelming for me. So that was something like extremely huge, probably the greatest downfall for our marriage, because I was unable to communicate in those situations where it's loud. It's like, dude, just give me time. And he was so impatient in that situation. But communication and that was one of the questions. Do you guys have any tips on, I guess, better communicating with your partner? If you have a partner that is, your communication styles are two different styles.
One of the big things that has helped us through times, and I think this goes back to like that processing piece, is if we're having a hard time, like being able to communicate for one reason or another, we'll take our time in a separate room and we'll write to each other, because we're able to actually get our thoughts down. And sometimes it actually also sparks up more of an understanding of where the other person's coming from as you're writing. You're like, oh, actually, as much as this is about you, it's not about you. It's actually about me and what I'm going through. So that has been a really big one for us. And then just also, I think, being patient and understanding that some of this stuff takes time to learn with each other, and being okay and communicating that, I'm still learning how you work and how, how to work with you best. I know that there's sometimes my husband gets in a specific mood, usually after like one too many cocktails, where he's just a little bit more like on edge, and he thinks I'm trying to fight, but I'm not. So I just kind of agree with him until the next morning and then have that conversation. So sometimes it's about space. Sometimes it's about like just really taking the time to learn the other person. And sometimes all else fails, a nice handwritten letter of why you're feeling what you're feeling has really helped me.
I like that, because that's one of the things. Well, we don't write, but we definitely, if you get heated, that is not the time to have that argument. That is the time for you to take a walk or go meditate, whatever it is, put on some music, dance, whatever it is that gets you, back to your
release
level. That's where you need to be before you can communicate. So the whole idea, I remember, I don't know if you heard this term for older people, never go to bed with an argument or some nonsense like that. No, no. Sometimes a good rest can help you think clearer.
Yeah, really.
To really help you think clearly. So I'm the same way. I don't like to talk when I get angry because I already know that ratchet Angie will come out. So I try to keep her at bay. Um, and I know that I'm not speaking from a place of love either, or trying to be clear. I'm speaking from ego, and that is not the place where you should be coming from. So I would definitely say never argue when you're heated. Take the time to understand why it is you're upset. Sometimes you can take that time and realize, girl, you're doing too much. That wasn't even that serious. And the same thing for your husband. You know what I mean? Take the time to have a minute. I know there's times we have done that. We come back and we just end up laughing because it's just like, that was so stupid. That wasn't even, my husband is like very like passionate and loud. And sometimes I'm just like, would you just give me a minute? Okay. But I understand the whole like taking that. I'll definitely say take your minute and sleep on it. Definitely sleep on it. Sleeping on it is okay.
Yes. I think one of the things that we've been practicing lately, and I will give credit or kudos to my husband with this, because for a man to actually work through to become emotionally intelligent is, it's big for him to understand that he needs therapy, not just for us, but for himself. To work through things in his head, that's pretty big, because he's just trying to understand like where he is. So lately, I think that healthy conflict in a relationship is powerful, because you learn how to really work through things together, challenges and all. And then if you can actually work through healthy conflict and your kids are able to watch you work through healthy conflict, it is amazing. Like, I just want to brag just a little bit about my 13-year-old daughter working through healthy conflict. So she was called into the principal's office at school, and it was like, middle school drama. Her friends, they were all arguing, and the counselor literally emailed me and said that I just really want to say how much she's grown throughout her school year. She's in 8th grade. She was able to offer advice to her peers to help them resolve a conflict where, she was like, I was so proud and appreciative, but she was able to talk through conflicts with her friends to de-escalate a situation. I'm just like, that is only learned from a place by watching her parents. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that you always hear, don't argue in front of your kids. And we really do. We absolutely try not to argue. But if we do have a discussion, then you're gonna hear us work through healthy conflict with each other. And so, but when me and my husband, when we have a situation lately, he ends the conversation by saying, hey, I hope this was not a negative conversation, and I love you. And I'm just like, it immediately, like at first, when I first heard it, me, I'm a Virgo. I'm already, I got my own thought process, whatever. But it immediately, it made me like less tense. And then it made me mad, because I was like, why are you doing it?
It softened you up.
Right, it did. But, it's one of those moments, because I see the things that he's trying to do in order for us to actually be able to communicate effectively, even through difficulty or even through hard times. And it goes back to what you were saying, Alicia, about like that recognition and understanding. And so, I have to just say, well, thank you. Or I find myself wanting to do it too. Like, hey, I love you, or checking on him throughout the day. Like, hey, are you okay? Or, or giving him space to process after I told him something, that may or may not be a good thing. But communication and all of that is a work in progress. So this is what it is at this point in our marriage. 10 years from now, it can be something completely different. I may be telling y'all, listen, you go in a room through the wall to get it out. As long as we're both willing to grow and learn to communicate more effectively together and pass that on to our children, that's really all we could really hope for.
I
I
love
love
that.
that you said that you have debates in front of your kids, because I do the same thing. We don't get disrespectful, but we definitely show them that, yeah, I'm upset and these are the reasons why. And that kudos to you and your daughter and your husband, because when you talked about therapy, that's literally been an amazing tool in our relationship. Like my husband goes to therapy,
Mm-hmm.
individual individual therapy, like I had said in the beginning, and then we do our couple stage. Just like it's almost like you know how you, and it's interesting. You know how you take your car for a tune up every 6 months.
Yeah,
Why don't we do that in our marriage? You know what I mean?
exactly.
And
Or
so
again,
yeah,
literally.
couples therapy is a tune up. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And him, like, kudos to your husband, because that's what my husband is. And you know what? I do need to give him a big up for that, because he has done the work. He has done the work. We are literally in this beautiful place. Like we celebrated like like even in the way that we communicate I love to each other, it's about what that other person
Yeah.
needs or feels or resonates with them, I should say. I mean, so kudos, because when you said he's learned that, now when we get upset, he knows that I need my moment to
Mhm.
process. He don't coming after me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trying to tell me, talk right now, but we need to talk right now. No, he gives me my moment, you know what I mean? And I think that's important in every relationship, that individual work.
Hmm. Exactly.
And you should be bragging about that story about your daughter to everyone and
Yes,
anybody.
yes,
Well,
yes,
listen,
that part.
That is so sweet and also so amazing.
Yes.
thank you, guys.
I love that. So I just want to go back to the point because I do have a guy now, and when you said that your husband basically ends the conversation with like that soft spot, like that is the best feeling. Like
Yeah.
he is he my guy is very well with that, and just like certain little moments within, I don't know, I could be feeling a certain way when we're together and he'll just say something and I just like just melt all the way. I just had to add that in. So we're running low on time, so I'm going to try to get the two questions in together. So the one question is the one thing that you could think of, or if you can think of one thing that you appreciate the most about your mate, and then two, the greatest memory you guys have since being married. I mean, since being married.
Oh my goodness, that was a lot.
If you can only think of one, that's fine as well.
um, mm, okay, so I'm thankful for the fact that he is willing to change. He's willing to do the work in this relationship. Um, he is definitely the type of human that can see it from both sides, and it's gotten better as he's gotten older. Um, I would say
That's important.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
very important.
And not being insecure, because your insecurities can make you do some real silly things. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Um, and I think the most memorable thing is, well, when me and my husband first got married, he proposed, excuse me. Um, he did it in a hospital bed.
Who was in the bed? You or him?
him.
Oh wow.
He was in a hospital bed.
Oh wow.
We were going for a vacation together, and he passed. That was the first time he started forming kidney stones. Excuse me, and so he was passing a kidney stone on the plane. So when the plane landed,
Oh wow.
they came with the ambulance, rushed into the hospital. He says to me, "Oh, you can go to the hotel room." I'm like, "Are you insane? Like, no, I'm gonna be right here." So I slept in that chair next to him that night, and he woke up with IV attached to him like the next morning, and he was like, "I know I'm doing the right thing now, because you've been by my side this whole time." And he pulls out a box, and I'm like, "Ah!" And I run outside the room, and it was just like this crazy moment. But yeah, and this last year, because he's not very like he's learning to be more romantic. Okay. And I'm very proud of him for that. And so at one point last year, or maybe the year before, we were doing our walks together down the beach. And I love seeing people celebrate, right? Their love, right? And so I saw a tent, and this tent, I ran over to the woman because I was like, what is this for? Because it was like a little picnic on the beach. It was beautiful. And she was
Nosy.
saying, LC. And she's like, oh, where the gentleman is like proposing to the woman. I was just like, oh my God. I literally had tears in my eyes. And my husband's like, really? Like, I was like, I want to be here when they do it. So we were walking. I tried to like snoop in, but they still weren't there. But make a long story short, last year he blindfolded me and told me that some friends were coming in from New York, and got down on one knee and proposed again. He had snuck into my Instagram page, found the woman who did the tents, and did a second proposal.
Aww.
That was just like, so that was the most memorable, sweet thing in the kids, but that was the newest thing.
Right. I love that.
Yeah. Me too. Oh, do I go next?
Okay. Anyone?
Okay. So I think that one of the things that I am was it like, what are we proud of or grateful for, or
the greatest memory, and like one thing that you are most proud of in your mate?
I'm most proud that he is, I feel like, a true partner. Like, it's so hard. Like, internet is so crazy. You hear all these people having conversations about 50-50 and this and that and this and that. And I'm just like, that is the dumbest shit ever. Like,
yes.
I mean, and but to each his own. But I have a partner, because it's not just when people talk about that, they talk about financial stability. I'm sorry. I have a father. I have a best friend. I have a prayer mate. I have a playmate. I have like all of these different things. And so he is my true partner. And I am so proud of that, because, we can have the worst argument and then laugh the next minute. And not everybody get to have that. Like, we can sit down and jawn on each other and, and come back. Don't get me wrong. It's hard as fuck. But, to have a person, he's my friend. And he used to, when we first started, I used to be like, you my best friend, you my bestie. He's like, I don't understand it. What that mean? He never understood that concept of like his wife being his best friend or my husband being my best friend, because that's not, everybody didn't grow up saying that. Or people put such a stereotype or idea, their own idea around it. But I was just like, we create whatever it is. Like, we create one of my best friends like to say heaven on earth, but it's what we do and what we surround ourselves with. So I have a partner that, working through the kinks, but we working through them together.
Yeah, I love that.
And then I was sitting here thinking about all the like great memories that we had. And I was just like, my husband, one of the things that he needs to work on is understanding how to be more romantic, how to cater to that side for me. But I just thought about some of the like romantic things that he's done in the past. Like, I remember Valentine's Day one year, this is when we were living in St. Louis, and he decorated like the whole entire house. Like, I came downstairs, it was like rose petals everywhere. He had like a private chef that came in. It was another couple, like his cousin and his wife, they were there too. And it was just fun. And I remember the balloons, like I had all these balloons, but all the balloons was like happy birthday, like hella childish balloons. So it was still being him, like, it was super romantic, super cute, but it was still him being him by throwing it off in some type of way. Like, he got all those happy birthday balloons on purpose.
It was a touch of him there.
So, I want him to find that person, within him again, even an elevated version of that. But I understand that we are growing right now. Sometimes it's a space of pause within relationships while you focus on other things, but communication is key. And so we're going to keep working at it.
It'll get there.
It
I love that too, Taryn, about just being best friends. I think one of the things I'm most grateful for or proud of is how we've been able to keep that. And one of the things that is popping out as far as like core memory to me kind of ties into that, in the sense of when we first started dating, there was a day where we laid in bed all day and we just talked and we watched some of our favorite movies. Like I showed him what mine were, he showed me what his were. And it was just like a very chill day. I call it like masks off, because I feel like around people, I'm always like trying to be this specific person. And with him, I was able to kind of release that and be able to be myself and be goofy. And it's the day that I remember falling in love with him, because I said something like, "Oh, I wish life could just be like this all the time." And he was like, "Why can't it be?" And it was so early on. It was like very early on in our relationship. And then, that stuck to me as something that I fell in love with. And recently we had a night where I had pregnancy insomnia and he had regular insomnia. So we were both awake at 2 a.m. and we were just talking about everything and anything. And being together for almost 10 years now, you would think there's not that much to talk about anymore, but there's still so much. And we laughed all night long and we were up for hours. And every time one of us tried to fall asleep, the other person was trying to say, "Oh, and what about this?" And it just felt like another one of those moments where I was just getting to be with with my best friend in the world, just shooting the shit, laughing, cuddling. There's nothing better than like having a best friend that you can be so open and honest with and just like love each other at the same time. It was such a magical moment. And that was only like a couple weeks ago, but I know it's something that's going to kind of stick with me for a very long time, because it reminded me of that first time that we fell in love. And I can't wait for more of those situations, especially once we have the baby and we're nocturnal. But yeah, having a best friend as a partner, it's not always easy, but it is so, so, so rewarding to be able to like want to be with that person all the time.
Yeah. It's easy to want to be with somebody you think is cute in the beginning. It's
Exactly.
a whole other game.
Exactly.
Go real life hit.
And your bodies change. You don't look the same, but you still love each other. Like that's a blessing. That's something to want to have. Well, to each his own, you know what I mean? But it's something I love and I'm so appreciative of having. Yeah. That best friend.
And choosing each other every day, over and over.
Every day.
Choose each other every day, over and over.
And the fact that I can have a huge belly right now and my husband is more attracted to me than ever is like wild to me. Blows my mind, but it is something I'm so appreciative of, because it makes me actually feel like, damn, maybe I do look good. I feel so confident. I'm like, wow, pregnant belly looks good on me, I guess.
I love that. Well, I am walking away from this conversation with more information. I am walking away from the conversation more inspired, more in love with my man. I have been in love with this man for a very, very, very long time. But now we're finally in a place, I guess, where things align. The goal of the podcast is to basically just have conversations, like I said earlier, with ladies that we can gain information from, we can be inspired, we can share things. So you guys have shared your hearts, your husbands, your stories. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us, and good luck
Yes.
with your relationship. Okay, all the
Exactly. Good luck. Yes.
Thank you. Is there anything that you guys would like to share? I don't know. I know one of you is for sure a business owner. If you guys have anything you'd like to share before we go.
Uh-oh.
We do. We own a general contracting and construction company with a special focus on elevators. So the first Black elevator company in the United States. So y'all be look out.
What's the company name?
The name of our company is called The Pad, which is it goes back to our daughters, Peyton, Averin, and Dalen, but it also plays into Pad for residential. And then we have the Pad elevator. So just stay tuned, be on the lookout.
For me, I'm a chef, caterer, and I teach educational classes. The name of my Instagram page is ebonyvegan_LA. You can also find me on my website. So I teach people. I'm trying to breach the gap between plant eaters and meat and carnivores.
I love that.
Yes.
I am actually a spiritual guide and specifically work with neurodivergent people as well as grief. So at Bring Your Own Energy, BYOE. And yeah, I just also want to say a big thank you to Erin as well as Angelina and Taryn, because I feel so good after this, and I feel like I learned a lot, and I feel very inspired in my own relationship as well. So thank you.
You guys are doing some great stuff starting off. You keep that going.
Yes.
Okay.
And I love it was so positive. Look at this. Like it's people that are happy in marriages. It's it's not without strife, but it's just
that was the goal. I'm like, okay, because I'm hearing about everybody miserable out here. Where the happy people at? What's going on? So everything happens for a reason. Everybody that was here is supposed to be, or that was supposed to be here is here. So this turned out great. So thank you, ladies, for being here. Have a absolutely amazing week. Happy Sunday to you all, you guys.
Bye, ladies.
Bye, you guys. Don't forget to thank God for your blessings. Don't forget to say your prayers, and don't forget to take care of your skin. Bye. Bye.